Dystonia as a condition doesn't respect anything. It doesn't respect boundaries, whether be they geographical or class or gender or religion or anything.
That's right.
How do you surmount that, given the kind of organisation you're in?
Well, what we believe is that we want to find a cure for dystonia, and we don't know where that cure is going to come from. So we think that you need to take a global approach. That means working with everybody all around the world to try and find the best researchers who are doing the best research to find a cure.
How do you do that, though? How do you get hold of these people? I mean, there might be some guy in China. How do you get hold of him?
Sure, and we actually have funded researchers in China. What we do is we send out a request for application, and we publicize in all the major medical journals that we're accepting applications for dystonia research. And the applications start coming in. And then we have, of course, a medical scientific advisory board that reviews these applications to make sure we're picking the right ones.
This organisation's been going for 35 years. You still haven't found a cure. Does that mean you're a failure?
It's certainly frustrating. It's certainly frustrating, but I don't believe that we've failed. In fact, what we've done is we've made a lot of progress. In fact, just this past month, there was a major journal that was published from one of our researchers talking about the role of the DY21 protein called Torsin A and what it does in the cells within the mitochondria. These types of discoveries, whereas they're not a cure, they're important steps to get us closer. And what does it mean to a patient? Well, they really don't care what the protein does. But as we find out more about what the underlying causes of dystonia is, then we can do something about them. And that's really what our whole research program is about, is to discover more about what is going on that causes dystonia. And we're investigating all forms of dystonia, not just DYT1. But as we find out more and more about what causes dystonia, then we can take actions to do something about it. And you see that in lots of the treatments that have been developed. So we've got botulinum toxin, we've got DBS, and all the medications for dystonia. And those are the things that have come about because of the research that we've funded. And so, whereas we don't have the silver bullet yet, we're getting closer and closer every day.
Dystonia to the general public is still relatively unknown as a condition. I mean, if I went outside and stopped 10 people in the street, assuming anybody knew what I was talking about at all, they'd probably think it was a state in the Baltic. How do you get over that? Just getting it out there, getting it known?
Well, we do that through all of our awareness efforts. And certainly the key to getting dystonia more well known is through awareness. And so what does awareness mean? Awareness is people telling their stories, and there's lots of social media these days through which we can tell our stories. And then there's all the media outlets. So we try to get people to have stories in newspapers and TV and on radio, and we've been very successful at doing that.
If you had a message at all for people who are suffering from dystonia, which can be very distressing and very debilitating, what would you say to them?
Well, there's a few things that I would say. Number one, I would say you're not alone. And that is so important to people, to know that they're not the only person out there struggling with this disease. Because it is a rare disorder, often people can feel isolated. And there's many dystonia patients who've never met another dystonia patient. And what I'd say to them is to reach out. If there isn't a support group in your area, that's really the first line is to find a support group. And then you'll be able to meet other patients. If there isn't a support group in your area, there's lots of online forums that you can join. There's the Dystonia study, the Dystonia Bulletin Board through the Dystonia Medical Research Foundation. There's also the DBS Bulletin Board, an online support group that you can join. And those are great avenues to interact with other people if there aren't people that you can interact with directly. The other thing that I would tell people who have dystonia is actually there was a PSA that we produced many years ago, and the title of the PSA was "You Are Not Dystonia." And I think that's a great message, because dystonia is such a debilitating disease, but people are not dystonia. They're not defined by their dystonia. They're people, and they should do whatever they can to find ways to lead their life despite their disease. And it's not. It's you know it can be very difficult. It can be very difficult, but there's a way to do it, and that's key to everybody's mental well-being, is to understand that they can get beyond this, even though at times it can be extremely frustrating and difficult.
Thank you very much.